There has been talk with Steph, the legacy talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love all the legacy stuff.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to give Steph a notch up to Mount Rushmore automatically because of Game 7. But position here, I think, to certainly establish himself as one of the 4 or 5 greatest all-time players if they do end up winning a championship. I hate doing this, but I love your perspective on things. You're Mount Rushmore right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know you've been asked this, but I haven't heard it, so I'm curious.
Well, I definitely have 3, and then the 4th I kind of go right. I go around on definitely 3 for me without question: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kareem. I go with those 3. Then I think there's great debates to be had. Magic probably for me would be of those other guys. Kobe, I think Kobe's in that discussion. You can't say Kobe's not in the mix for one of those spots. Is it Wilt? Some people would put Wilt Chamberlain there. I struggle with that because it's harder for me, I'll be honest, with guys that I just never saw play. It's just harder for me. I can go look at all the stats I want to, but I can also go look at how many teams are in the league and what the competition look like and all that too. It's harder for me, but some people would put him there just based on the statistical dominance. There's such incredible separation with what he did. So I think he'd be in the mix. Is Curry approaching that?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Even without a championship this year.
Can you ever recall a guy that was already a great player climb this many rungs in the ladder at this stage of his career based on last year and this year?
No.
I mean, honestly, because going into last season, most people, if the conversation came up ranking players, right? Curry, top 20 for sure. Some people might have said top 15. I don't think a lot of people were saying top 10 prior to last season. They win another championship. Post Durant, he has, maybe the most important game of his career in Game 4 in Boston, right? With dropping 43, down 2-1. So they get through that. And now here we are again. Now look, is it going to take him winning a championship to do that? Yeah, probably. He needs to maybe add one if we start to talk about Mount Rushmore category. That there's a lot of work left to do. He might not even get through this series, so we got to see how that plays out. But my point is to go from, say, 20th to now a guy that we're talking about possibly being in the top 5. He did all of that groundwork in the last couple of years, really, is when he elevated to this level. You just typically don't see that for guys in their mid-30s to have that much more to grab. That's what I've said all along. He's got more to gain from this whole thing, this whole discussion about him and LeBron in this series and where these teams go than LeBron does. See, I think LeBron is locked in to 2. He's not going to win a championship and leapfrog Michael Jordan. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what he does.
Truthfully, in people's eyes, and I'm not saying this does not, but in people's eyes, he's not going to win 2 more.
Correct.
And leapfrog Michael Jordan.
Correct.
Because everybody's always going to bring up the losses without any context.
Yeah, I just think that's the way it's going to be for him. So he's locked in at 2. And he's not going to get caught. That's what I think too. He's not getting caught from behind. Wait, what happened now? 3rd? Yeah. What happened here? That's not going to happen either. That's why I think he's kind of locked in. His legacy's very cemented, and this will be great. It may be one of the crown jewels of his career to pull this off with that team and beat Steph in the process. Great. I think he's locked in at 2. I think Curry has more to grab.
If Draymond doesn't have a certain punch in 2016, where is Steph, do you think, in this conversation?
Yeah, he's already probably there. He's already there. If everything else plays out the same way?
Yep.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The only thing I don't know about that is the domino of the Kevin Durant effect, right? So does he still go? So basically what you're saying is if they win that series, does Durant still go? We'll never know the answer to that. A lot of people say no. Maybe he would have anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're saying take that away, assume they win that championship, and everything else since then plays out exactly the same way that it has, he's there. He's already there.
I don't know.
He's top 5 for sure.
I don't know that whether there's an asterisk next to any championship. I personally don't believe there is. I haven't heard a compelling enough case. But with LeBron, there's always that. I think in 16, they bring up the Draymond thing. The haters. He won the 2020 is a fluke win because it was the bubble. Whatever. And then Steph and KD, for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, but they get discredited for 17 and 18 because no one was going to beat that fucking team. I think truthfully, I think you put those two teams against any team in NBA history, and they're probably winning a 7-game series.
I agree with that.
And that's not a knock on the Bulls. Like I'll say that's probably the second best team of all time, right? But it's interesting because I think with Bron too, outside of 2011, they go back to those playoff losses. It drives me crazy. The context of the other, 5 losses, right? We go 07. He dragged that team to the finals. That Pistons team that they beat
that starting
were
lineup.
so good.
Yeah, look at the starting lineup he was playing with in Cleveland.
They were so good.
Yeah.
So then you have 11, you have 14. That Spurs team. Tell me at that point in time, with the way they played that series, who's beating that basketball team? It was a great team, coming out for revenge, all that stuff. 15, Love gets hurt in the first round. Kyrie gets hurt, breaks his kneecap. So they're playing, with Matthew Dellavedova chasing Steph around. They don't really have an offense. Mozgov is starting that series. Like, it's just whatever, And then he has the 2 years against fucking KD and Steph and the Warriors. So it's like I don't buy any of this asterisk. We should. I think there's asterisks every season when we talk about this stuff. If a guy wins a championship, a guy wins a championship. However he had to do it that way. And LeBron, for whatever reason specifically, he had to do it with Wash, D Wade and well, guess what? Larry had to do it with Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and Magic had to do it with Kareem and James Worthy, and Bill Russell had to do it with John Havlicek and Bob Cousy and Sam Jones and Bailey Howell. I don't.
I love a Bailey Howell reference when I didn't see it coming.
That.
No, that's tremendous.
I was going to say to that, and this is sort of to the point of the Giannis comments from last week. Like Bron losing to those teams, that season is a success. Like get those Cavs teams in 17, like that was objectively a successful season, even if you don't have a championship. And so that does feel like when you're looking at the whole body of work, it's not just championship or this is an L.
It's amazing to me because look, there's a whole faction of people out there, obviously, kind of what you alluded to, that are just critical of LeBron, no matter what he does, no matter what happens in his career. Despite all of that, and probably being the most hyped player in the history of this league to enter the league, he lived up to it, and he still has had this kind of career despite all of that. I don't put asterisks on stuff. I look at it like this, and it was hard for me because of some of the players I loved so much that were like my idols, to watch LeBron kind of chasing them, catching them, admitting that he had surpassed them. Larry Bird being top of the list. Larry Bird not only was my favorite player and athlete, Larry Bird, this is not an overstatement, Larry Bird changed the course of my life because I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. That was my thing. I mean, legit. I could throw 90s in high school.
This sounds familiar.
That was my path. My dad was a baseball coach, right? And then I start watching this dude, come into the league right at the exact same time I went into high school. And I played both sports, but basketball was definitely secondary to me. And just watching those teams, and it wasn't just the Celtics team, it was watching the Lakers too. The way that they played, the rivalry, the competition. Like sitting there watching all those games with my dad. It just changed what I wanted to do. And then when I started to become a gym rat, because of that, that's when your ability to get better kicked in, because I didn't need anyone else and I had such drive. I didn't need anybody. You need a ball, hoop, and shoes, and I'm good. I'll see you guys in about 8 hours, right? And that was perfect, tailor-made for me and my passion to do it. So he changed the course of my life. So to watch LeBron, catching him, because it was like small forward, these small forward talk, it's like, wait a second, man. I got to put him above Bird. At some point, it just got so obvious. Like you couldn't make that argument anymore.
Couldn't hide your bias.
It was hard for me.
You couldn't hide your bias.
Now, and I played against Jordan a lot. And my whole career was the 90s. The guy won 6 rings. He kind of, didn't give anyone else a chance during that time. He's not going to pass him for me in my mind. Yeah. He's just not. And it's not even about winning rings at this point. It's just about the player. Yeah. I played against that guy. I've watched this guy a lot. It's Jordan. So that's why I say, for me, he cemented where he is. If you talk about historical ranks, obviously he can still win more rings. Who knows how long he's going to play? But we're going to look at him historically, I think he's going to be number 2 no matter what. Now, you asked me about my Mount Rushmore. Let's go.
Oh.
So you got 4 names.
I have the same.
How many do you get to like this without any hesitation?
The 3. I get the same 3.
The same 3? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, Jordan, Bron, Kareem.
Okay.
I get the same 3.
Then the debate kicks in your mind.
Well, I think part of it is you got to look at MVPs, finals MVPs, championships, the personal accolades, all-stars, not as much as all NBA. So like it's Kareem and Bron, the career points, all that stuff. It's like Kareem and Bron in a lot of those categories are 1, 2, or 3. You know what I mean? So those and Jordan obviously are easy. Fourth, I'm the same as you, man. I don't like I'm maybe missing somebody here. I've got like 9 other names written down, 8 other names written down. So I think Curry's in the conversation. I even without a championship this year, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Larry, Magic, Wilt, Russell, and I'll throw Shaq in there, man. I will throw Shaq in there. I think Shaq's peak. Are we talking about peak? Was his dominant?
Oh yeah.
And I was in high school when he was winning those championships with the Lakers.
Yeah.
It felt different. I think in terms of just dominance. People were building their rosters around the idea that maybe we had to play this guy in the playoffs. We need 20 fouls to do it. We need 24 fouls, whatever it may be. I think he's in the conversation too. I ultimately go with Magic. Right now, today, I go with Magic.
Yeah.
But I think I lean probably, this is just me, based on that stuff, I lean towards Kobe Curry if I was to take Magic out of there.
Yeah, and so I'm not shocked. You and I kind of saw this exactly the same way. I think, resume-wise, forever, because to me there's a difference between player and career. Like they're two different conversations.
You hear that, Jason? You hear that? You heard it? Okay.
Because player, we're just talking about like skill set, right? Dominance individually as a player. Then career is like a lot goes into that, man. Like longevity, winning, all that kind of stuff, right?
Random luck.
All right, that too.
When we talk about the team stuff.
Definitely.
Some random luck in there.
And I thought Kareem had the best basketball resume of all time until LeBron.
Yeah.
And some people might say he still does, because I did this one trivia question. It was phenomenal. I was like, it starts out with how many guys, 2 MVPs, 2 titles. There's a list. And 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5. And there's one guy left standing, 6 and 6. And it's Kareem. Plus all-time leading scorer in history league, plus 3 national championships in college. You're going, that's the greatest basketball resume there is. Some people might say it still is. But now, and LeBron's got, 4 rings. He's the all-time leading scorer. How many finals? 10, right? 10 finals?
10, yeah. 4
10?
and 6.
Yeah, so who's got the better basketball? Now, he didn't play college basketball, so he didn't have a chance to win national championships. I don't think he's winning 3. It was a little different back then. So who's got the better basketball resume, Kareem or LeBron?
I just think the thing that makes LeBron the most interesting is winning in 3 different places. Because even with Michael, it's like you're blessed with another top 50 player. You're blessed with one of the great rebounders of all time. All those role players. Like, I think that I think the asterisks are stupid with these Lakers championships or championship. But I basically think that the idea that you've gone into 3 different situations and done this is pretty. It's
a compelling argument.
You and I talk in the green room about this. We were actually chatting the other day about spacing back in the 80s. And I think one of the things that is interesting now to sort of on the other side of playing, when I played, the game moved a certain way to me when I watched it because I played.
Right.
And then now that I'm not playing, the game moves a different way in a way when I watch it, when I'm live at a game. With Jordan, when I watch him play, not when I was 12, but when I watch him play now, I watch film on him, whatever, highlights, he just moved. He moved differently than anyone in that era.
Yeah. I can assure you he did.
No, he just did.
I can assure you. He was also the only guy, and I played against, I don't even know, I never made a list, but I played against a lot of guys that were Hall of Famers, played with a lot of Hall of Famers. And I played against some great 2 guards. I mean, Reggie Miller, Clyde Drexler, Mitch Richmond, probably top 3 guys, top of the list. He was the only guy Jordan, that I ever played against that at no point could you relax ever guarding him, because he was that voracious in wanting to attack. Always. Because when you guarded Reggie Miller, yeah, man, you chase him for 5 straight minutes and
dumping it down to Rick Smith.
At some point, he's going to pop out. They're going to run, turn 5. He's going to catch the ball, throw it into Rick Smith's and go spot up. And you're like, okay, this is somebody else's problem for a little bit. I'm going to chill over here. Like Drexler, same thing. he'd ISO you, and he was so big and thick and strong, and you're just like, my God, this guy. And then, oh yeah, he's got to throw to Hakeem for the next 3 trips and just chill. Awesome. All of those guys kind of did that. Not him. Because of the dynamic of their offense and the way it was constructed, and there was no throwing it into guys unless it was thrown in the triangle specifically to get some sort of action for Michael out of that even. So you could just never, ever relax because the guy just wanted to relentlessly go at you. And that to me is what separated him from anybody I ever played against.